I was actually thinking about putting beer in aluminum cans or aluminum, and people complained about the taste because beer came in glass always. So I was trying to come out with a line of aluminum products, but you know, people were complaining about the taste. So and Germany was the first industrial power of the world, not the not the second. It was number one. Way more industrialized than anywhere else. Way better. So I had free beer handed out and filmed it to see, and then they would do a taste survey to see how it tasted. Because I was going to come out with a line of I was having canned sodas and canned beers come out, and it's really expensive actually to put beer or soda inside aluminum. Way more expensive than it is to put it in glass. Well, they're both kind of expensive, but aluminum was actually a lot more expensive to have drinks in. So anyway, and they didn't like the taste. So anyway, I was like, well, we'll do a few aluminum cans, and then after that, we'll just go back to glass. It's fine. But I wanted to have some aluminum out there, cans. So anyway, that's why that is. He's in Munich to escape Austrian military service. Yeah, I paid people to do cityscapes and stuff like that to copy paintings. Well, in the old days, if you wanted a really nice painting, like actually, I had a whole workshop of people copying paintings. Like most paintings that most places have are actually reprints, or they're not actually by the original painter. Nobody realized. I had this copy shop basically. It was this massive building, and all they did was copy other people's work. They would copy books, copy paintings, like we would have all the originals on display, right? And then we'd have people just practicing to copy the great works of art, which are actually things that I had paid for. It's funny. I originally paid for the great works of art, and then I paid for them to be copied, and then we sold them, and we sold them actually for a fair amount of money. They actually made a pretty good profit. But I had invested a lot of money in getting all these colors brought to what's called and later on I used the colors in the paints that actually ended up being the paints on the cars and the paints on the houses, and the color that you see today. Those I invested a huge amount of money. I had boats going everywhere looking for every different kind of color, red color, whatever color, and seeing if we could make it into a paint, or seeing if we could somehow do that. I mean, we were using natural colors at first. I had this whole huge scientific team on it. Like, I mean, you can't just. I mean, there was money involved, but mostly I had these places set up where they were just being fed, and these people were just working on making color and making it for the Lord, the leader. Anyway, for civilization. I mean, everyone just looks around. It's like where do they get the paint for? How did this paint get come up with? How? How did we learn how to do this? Well, like I say, I had advanced races. It's true, but humans just kind of need to do it for themselves. So humanity on Earth was going all over the planet, looking for these things that are naturally around. And genetically, I could create certain things that would have color in them, but that's genetics, and that's different. To actually make a paint is a lot different. To do genetic color is a completely different thing than to do physical color, like this paint in this on this e-cigarette. You know, vaporizer. Anyway, it's rather complex, really. Anyway, though, but I had I'm talking about beer and aluminum. Anyway, though, when I was coming out with my first aluminum cans, well, we had to make them thinner for one thing, but for another thing, I was coming out with aluminum beer mugs and aluminum cups and aluminum things with anti-spill cut tops, a little rubber seal or cork seal or something, and coming out with those, and people complained about the taste, so we were looking at why it tasted different and everything else like that. And certain things you probably shouldn't put beer in. It's the acidity of the beer interacts with aluminum. So, and maybe coming up with some kind of coating. And in the end, tin was the answer. We added tin to it. And it's kind of like funny how like where something we were doing for taste actually affected the aluminum itself, because there's just aluminum, and then we started adding tin for other things, to block the taste or whatever, and then that kind of transferred over to actually the aircraft and the wings, because when we did that, we came up with better aluminum or thinner aluminum or whatever. Anyway, aluminum is kind of a weird substance. It's kind of soft and it's actually kind of soft and kind of airy and kind of weird. And by adding other things to it, you can kind of change it. It's kind of like a universal. It's almost like lead. I referred to it as like second lead, really, because it's a lot like lead, but it's not lead. It's aluminum, and you can do a lot of things with it. You can make it airy. You can squish it down thin. You can add tin to it. You can do this. You can do that, and it changes it. We tried doing the same things with lead, but lead isn't as versatile as aluminum. So. Anyway, it's all complicated and things that nobody really has to worry about or think about, but it all has to do with the past and how we brought all this about. And the different funding, the different things, like I did basically run Auschwitz and other camps, and all my ideas and all my thoughts and all my groups working together very closely. I mean, you can watch the films and kind of get general ideas of stuff, but you really don't understand exactly how it was. I mean, it was a happy time. It was a different time. It was a time of Lucifer Star, the great epic leader and king. And there was a couple of pathetic wackos around and stuff like that, but mostly it was just my sailing ships, and mostly just a time of happiness and peace and everything else like that before the real bad stuff would happen. And stars, lots of stars, because I was Lucifer Star, and there's metal, and just, I mean, we didn't have much. We were working on getting more. The biggest problem is doing small scale like this, really nice and perfect, was easy, but doing it on a global scale for everyone was the real issue. I mean, I could make one or two places really nice, no problem, but to do it on an epic scale where it's the whole world, that was a bit harder. That was where it's hard. It's hard to make like basically 14 billion shoes, and right now there's probably more than that. So if you try and put a shoe on everybody's foot, that is ridiculous, and that was the real issue, was making enough for everyone. I could make enough for a lot of people. And we had people working 24/7 a day practically, and hiring more every day to make shoes for people. And people were seeing what was happening, and they wanted to help try and make shoes too, because they wanted it in their homeland. So, of course I was like rich, but I mean, it's like, who cares about that? I was already a builder of 800 galaxies. Once you get past building your first civilization or building your first city, like I built Berlin, I built all these different places, the Winter Palace, which was originally a train station and stuff. I mean, a lot of these places were originally mines. So anyway, once you get past all that, then it becomes the big scale, and then it's like, well, you can't just, I mean, I could at one point it was kind of nice because I could just start paying for things. But when you start out, you can't do that. You literally have to go, and you have to know where you have to get those resources. We're talking about aluminum right now, and I don't know, I'm just going off on a tangent. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore. No one's probably going to watch this, but I mean, I was the one who actually was behind it. I'm Lucifer Star, the epic, more than epic person that everyone would just be following in my footsteps of. So anyway, yeah,